Hello, everyone. Welcome to Power Pantaloons podcast. My name is Tanya, and I am your holistic cancer wellness guide. Today, we have Julie with us. Welcome, Julie.
Hi. Thanks for the invite. I really
You're
appreciate it.
welcome. Will you please tell the audience a little about yourself and what it is you do and how you help people?
Sure. Yeah, I'm a holistic practitioner, trauma specialist, and body whispering facilitator. So where we're so kind of entrained to go outside of ourselves and look for answers, I help facilitate people to actually tap into their knowing and follow what is true for them and actually get to what is required to change what they haven't yet been able to change.
So, when we talked earlier, you explained to me what body whispering is, and my interpretation of that is just listening to your internal intuition. Does that about sum it up, or do you want to be more?
Actually, it's a little bit a little bit different because so we're infinite beings, right? We're infinite beings and we have a body. So we, the infinite being, have our knowing, but we've created the mind as a construct that gets in the way of our knowing. But then our body is actually conscious as well. And our body knows what it desires and requires. It knows exactly what will work for it. So, but our mind will impel our point of view on our body, which creates limitations. So, body whispering is more about not just going in, but actually asking the body about everything that concerns it. Because if you kind of think of us as an infinite being, right, an energetic being, and we have a physical body, you can think, okay, who eats, the being or the body? The body eats. Who wears the clothes, the being or the body? The body. Who lives in the house, sits on the furniture, drives the car, right? The body. So when you look at it that way, anything that has to do with food, clothing, where you live, furniture, the car you drive, all of that's body related stuff. So you can literally ask the body about everything that concerns it. And you need money to buy all those things for the body that you, the infinite being, don't need. So your body can actually contribute to you, like creating money and generating money because the money concerns the body. So it's a whole different way of functioning.
Okay, so it sounds like it also has a little bit of like the basics of like kinesthesiology in there where you
Yeah,
where you
and I do show, like, I have a way people, like, beginners can kind of use muscle testing in the beginning. So it's almost like using your body as a pendulum. But a really big difference in that is, here's the thing, whether you muscle test or you go to a practitioner that muscle tests, if they have a point of view or you have a point of view about what the results are going to be, you'll impel your point of view on your body, and that's what you'll test as, which is really interesting. But we have a tool. It's called the clearing statement. But if you clear your point of view, or in your head, if you clear the practitioner's point of view before the muscle test and ask your body what's true for it, then you'll get accurate results.
That's
So
very interesting.
yeah, it's really amazing because I actually many, many years ago, back before I was diagnosed with mercury poisoning, I went to a practitioner and I had the poisoning at the time. I just wasn't aware of it. And he was doing muscle testing, but when I was talking to him, he's asking me about my symptoms. And he goes, "Oh, well, given the symptoms you're mentioning, this is probably what you're going to test positive for." So he already had a point of view about how the test was going to go, right? And I didn't really have all this information at the time that that's how it worked. It wasn't until afterwards that I realized, oh, we impel our point of view on our body because our body again, it knows. But if we have a point of view, our body matches our reality the same way the universe matches our reality, right? So if we have a point of
Yes.
view, like, right, like, just say body stuff, like white refined sugar has the biggest, like, is so bad for you in this reality. Well, sure, if you align and agree with that, that it's this terrible, awful, unhealthy thing, and you consume it, then your body's like, okay, that creates unhealth, I can create that. But if you have no point of view about the sugar, your body actually utilizes 98% of the sugar you consume goes straight to brain function. But we aren't taught that.
Really
And your
interesting.
body, yeah, and your body doesn't care where it gets the sugar from: fruit, yogurt, white refined sugar, agave, stevia. It doesn't care to your body unless you have a point of view. Sugar is sugar, and 98% goes straight to brain function.
Well, I definitely think that your mindset on something it is crucial to anything. While I was going through cancer, I had the one principle of one thing on my to-do list every day, and that was to change my underwear and put on Wonder Woman's panties because Wonder Woman can't die. So that was like my physical representation of actively choosing to live every day. And 16 years later, I still think that that was the number one reason I made it through it. When they remove 10 pounds of cancer out of your body and you have a super rare, super aggressive cancer, you know, your chances aren't awfully good.
Yeah,
I
mindset
was
has to do with everything.
Well, I also appreciate that nobody gave me an expiration date, nor did anybody stand in front of me and mourn me while I was there, right? Like if anybody talked about the chance that I could, you know, pass away, it was very much not in my presence. So, you know, my mindset is the more I study it and the research it and practice it, the more powerful it is. Like it's I think it's one of the most fascinating things.
Yeah,
Like
and
when you
I don't know if you want an example. If you want one, I've got a great one where I experienced this firsthand way before I even realized that mindset had anything to do with it. Like, do you want that?
yeah, let's talk about
So,
it. Let's
so
talk about it.
I worked in Western medicine for over 25 years. So it was my very first medical job. I was working in a multi-specialty clinic. And this particular day I was working with the physician that owned the clinic. Well, a kid came in and he had ordered a penicillin injection, right? And so if they're allergic, the doctor would see an allergy sticker on the chart. And then anytime we give an injection, we have to double check the chart, make sure there's not an allergy sticker. Well, he ordered the penicillin. I looked at the chart, no allergy sticker, but you still, when you get in front of the patient, you ask them, are you allergic? Any known allergies? And he's like, no. And I give him the injection. Well, I walk out of the room and I go back to the nursing station, and the doctor's standing there in front of a chart, and he says, oh my God. And he starts running down the hall to this kid's room. So I look at the chart right away to see what's going on. And I see the penicillin allergy sticker, but I also notice it's somebody else's chart. It's not this kid's chart. So I go running after him to tell him that no, he's incorrect, that he was looking at the wrong chart. And I open the door and he's standing there telling this kid that I'm so sorry, you're allergic to penicillin, you're going to have an allergic reaction. And as soon as the words came out of his mouth, this kid was covered in hives and started having trouble breathing. And I was like, no, no. And I'm telling the doctor, no, he's not allergic. You were looking at the wrong chart, somebody else's chart. He's not allergic to penicillin. He's fine. And as soon as I said that, the hives and the breathing went back to normal. No hives, breathing, that
Yeah.
instantaneous. And I was like, oh my God. And that's where I started getting that, wow, our thoughts really do create our reality. Like, right? Even if it's a lie, whatever we think, we impel on our body, and our body, I never realized, responds instantaneously.
Well, when we talk about magic and the power of speech and spelling, like so when you're writing something out, when you're writing your words, literally spelling it out, as in like a magic spell, that you are creating existence. And so all of the negative self-talk that we have and how hard we are on ourselves, we're we're casting magic on ourselves to put us in a bad spot.
Yeah. Yeah. Words carry energy. And if some, like anytime you try to change something and it's not changing, you've got to change the energy. And until you change the energy, it's not going to change. And so, and that's another reason, yeah, why words are so powerful. Like, right? Because if you've got all the negative self-talk going on, you're creating all that as a reality. You're locking all that in your body. You're becoming the effect of all of it. Even if it was a lie to begin with, but you bought it as real and true, then that's what you start creating.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been heavy my entire life, and I've changed the way I talk to myself about the food that I put in my face and the the recreation I do, because exercise is a dirty word, it's a punishment word, but recreation is a fun thing.
Well, can, can I put, so here's the thing about exercise. Because when you say exercise, your body hears exorcise and it's like, God, they're trying to get rid of me, right? Your body freaks out. And a lot of times when you say that, your body will start putting on weight because it thinks you're trying to get rid of it. But instead, a great thing is asking your body what movement it would like to do, because bodies love to move. So
Well,
just
which is
that
why
little shift.
I've reframed it. I don't call it exercise anymore, and
Yeah.
I haven't for quite some time, because I know that my body recognizes that term as a punishment term. And instead, like, how am I going to have recreation today? Like, what's the recreate? Like, what am I creating? Like, so, whether I'm going to go roller skating or ride my tricycle or go on a hike with the dogs, like, just yes, like fun things. And I phrase it to myself as a fun thing. And it has definitely impacted the shedding of the unwanted excess weight. And I don't step on scales often, and I have reframed how I have a relationship with food, and it's working. I did step on the scale yesterday, and from where I was at my highest, I have lost 57 pounds over like the last 2 years. And I think that that's amazing. And it also needs to happen slow and be a lifestyle change as opposed to a diet, because diets don't work.
Yeah, and I love Gary Douglas. He founded some of the work that I'm certified in, and he's like, throw your scales away. Like, right? He's like, they cause you to do nothing but judge yourself, just throw them away. Like, right? Because weights matter, and weights density, and weights this reality. It has nothing to do with the infinite being we be. Like, right? So
Yes, and muscle is denser than fat, so it
right.
weighs more. And it's more about how your clothes fit and the energy that you have and how you feel.
Yeah.
Oh, that's my dinner bell.
Oh,
I think it's funny that we're talking about that.
yeah. Yeah, it's just, gosh, opening up a conversation, like your body can literally be your best friend. And we've had so many lifetimes where we just kind of like drug our bodies along with us like a sack of potatoes. And when you begin to ask your body about the things that concern it just totally shifts the energy. There's Kitty.
Yes, there's a kitty.
She's like, I want to contribute to everybody.
No, he just wants to show everybody's butt. That's what he likes to do.
Okay.
Yes, having a relationship with your body that's different than, you know, traditional. And I've been post cancer treatment body for me has been a little difficult to get to navigate because of the irradiation that I received on my abdomen. Sometimes I'll be out in public and I'll have poopsidents, and I'm really working very hard on the trying not to be humiliated by this and just deal with the situation. And just that's how my body is. Sometimes I have about 3 seconds notice that I'm going to go to the bathroom. And sometimes I have no problems at all. So, and I haven't discerned a pattern for that. So I'm still working through it, but how I'm talking to myself after it occurs, I'm trying to be much more gentle on myself because first of all, there's nothing I can do, right? Like, and you need to focus on how you handle the situation because the situation is already there. There's nothing you can do to change that fact.
Well, and one thing you just kind of from a body whispering perspective, one thing you could kind of play with in asking your body questions, because I have an agreement with my body. I'm like, oh, okay, body, like, what would it take just to release everything that no longer serves us, right? And then I ask my body, but can we please do it when we're at home? So you could play around with asking your body, okay, so because if you start asking, like I ask my body before I leave the house anytime, like, body, do you want to go shopping? Body, do you want to run errands? Where do you want to go? Like I ask all of it. And so that doesn't become an issue. And you might just play around with perhaps giving that a go because your body may know that, you know what, if we leave now, the timing's not right. Let's wait till later or tomorrow or whatever that may look like. But again, once you open up that dialogue, you'll get information. I even like, even when I pack for a trip, it used to take me so long to pack because I never knew what I was going to need. And now, I mean, I was traveling international for a long time, and I would just ask my body, okay, body, what clothes do we need? Right? What jewelry do you want to take? What cut, like everything. And I could pack like so fast. And it's so funny because sometimes I'd grab something and I'd be like, really, body, you really want to take this? And if I got a yes, I'd learn not to question it. And sure enough, I'd be down in Costa Rica or something, it'd start just pouring massive amounts of rain, but I had a rain jacket with me and just weird thing, you know. So the body knows, it's conscious, it actually knows, it doesn't have a point of view about past, present, future. It knows way so much more than us. Like we are conscious beings, but our mind gets in the way when we're in this reality. So that's the difference. Yeah.
Well, it certainly does. I I will absolutely give it a try. It certainly can't hurt, right? And learning to listen to your inner voice is super important. I, we had a previous conversation, but I'm going to revisit the part where um, the only reason I'm still here is because I listened to my body. I knew there was something going on, and so I went to the emergency room because there was a situation where I bled in my bathroom for 45 minutes, but and then went to the emergency room and they did the ultrasound, a transvaginal ultrasound, everything was fine. They sent me to my gynecologist, the pap smear was fine. And then they did some test. I don't remember what it's called, but basically they inflate the uterus with saline and then they image it. And that came back fine or inconclusive. Like they weren't finding any problem. And my gynecologist said to me, she's like, well, the next step, the only thing we have left is to do a D&C. And I said, well, let's schedule it. And that's how they found the cancer cells. There were no markers in my blood.
Yeah.
And that's a surprising thing. With the amount of cancer that I had, I should have had markers in my blood. And when I was recently talking to a basically a blood oncologist, when I told her that I didn't have any markers in my blood the first time I had cancer, and she was like, like the look on her face was like I hit her with a 4x4. She was truly shocked that I didn't have any markers. So, because I persisted, because I knew there was something wrong, and I had a provider that was willing to work with me, we were able to diagnose and then schedule my hysterectomy.
Yeah, and
And
I think that's what's so brilliant about your story is that you knew, right, that something wasn't right and you advocated for yourself, which is now what you do for others. because so many people, and again, I worked in Western medicine for over 25 years before I got into all the like alternative stuff. But so many people would come in, and it's like they put their doctor up on the pedestal, and no matter what he says, he's correct, and they don't question it. And that just amazed me. And even if the doctor is wrong, like if you're misdiagnosed, the thing is, if the doctor tells you you have X and you align and agree with it, or resist and react to it, or you say I am, I have, or I feel, even if it's not true, now you've locked it into your body and you start creating it as if it is true. So yeah, it's just so amazing how that works. And but you and you were like kind of the flip side of the coin, right? You knew something was wrong and they were like, no, everything's normal, everything's normal. And it took you being diligent and know something's wrong to get them to go on and look at other testing, because you
Yeah.
knew.
Well, I do think that, uh, for the most part, doctors do care, but they don't always have. First of all, it's called a medical practice. Practice for a reason. Yes, they go through years of study. But there's medical knowledge coming out every minute, right? In order to keep up with that, they'd have to be in school 24/7, and that's just not feasible. So they're practicing medicine, but you live in your body all day, every day. So when you feel like there's something off, it's your right and responsibility to follow up on that. And if your doctor doesn't want to do it, find a different doctor. You are entitled to second and third opinions.
Yeah, well, again, I just commend you for being more aware of and with your body, because again, when we were kids, we knew when we wanted to eat, we knew when we wanted to drink, right? When and what, we knew when we wanted to sleep, but nobody let us. So we're more like we all have that inner intuition and that connection with our body,
Yes.
but we tend to be trained out of it by our parents' like schedule and what they claim is the way to raise a kid. And oh, they need X amount of sleep and they need to eat this often. And all of that is so structured and not necessarily true. Like the kids know what they want to eat, when they want to eat it, when they want to sleep, but we don't acknowledge that they're like they're infinite beings in little bodies, and they know. So we're so entrained just to, and we lose that connection with our body and we start ignoring it because everything is dictated for us as a kid. So we get to adulthood, and of course, we're so just disconnected from that. Most of us, now you weren't, which again, I commend you for that, because that's awesome. Because most of us are just get such a disconnect because we've never been taught to listen to our body. We've more been made wrong for listening to our body about you're not tired, or you need to sleep now, or it's bedtime, or clear your plate, eat everything on your plate, and all this stuff.
Well, I had an experience. Like I was driving and I just got this nudge that I should make this turn and take a different way home. And I ignored the nudge and got into a car accident. I mean, it wasn't a big car accident, but it was a car accident. And afterwards, I was like, huh. So the next time I got that nudge, I just paid attention to it because of that. So that like sort of set it in my, so when I get the internal nudges, I trust them.
Yeah, cool.
And I've been building that trust with myself for a long time. And I do think that, my mom did an excellent job raising me, right? Like, I didn't get a lot of external, I don't know how to say this, like dogmatic rules,
Well,
so to
that's cool.
speak. You
Maybe,
know,
maybe that's why you're more intuitive than a lot of us.
I was never forced to go to church. I was never forced to, like, if I didn't want to participate in stuff, unless it was like family functions or whatever, right? Like I would have to do that kind of stuff. But like if it was just random stuff, I wasn't forced to do, like, you know what I mean? Like,
That's
so
cool. I remember for years, I sat at the dinner table and cried until bedtime because in my house, if you didn't clear your plate, you sat there until you cleared your plate. And finally it would be bedtime and my dad would get mad and go to bed. Right? So I'd sit there for hours crying because I wasn't hungry. I didn't want the food. I did not require the food. I did not want to eat the food.
yeah,
Right? But as a kid, I was just made to sit there. So I just kind of cried or sat there. And
yeah,
yeah, it's just so amazing. And then once I made the mistake of saying, it's like, I work hard for that food, and there's people wherever. I think they said China, but not that that matters. There's people starving, and I'm like, well, can we send this? I was being genuine. I'm like, can we send them this food then? Because I need it. Oh boy, don't say that in my house. That didn't go over well. But so many things. We're just, and again, kids are taught to have such, well, in my house, again, we had a bedtime, whether you were tired or not. This was bedtime. And then even when I was older, like a teenager, my mom remarried, and there was a certain time, lights out, like just lights out and quiet. But my stepdad got up at like 4:30 in the morning to go to work. So,
yeah.
but it's
I mean,
it's
I definitely had a bedtime, but now I have a bedtime too that I self-impose, and I magically it's the same one I had when I was 14, right? Like, I yeah, I mean,
and I used to do that. Now it's like I ask my body, it's like, okay, body, like this is so funny because some days I'm up till, if I'm in the middle of a project and I'm not tired, I've worked on the computer till like 3 a.m. And then like not last night, but the night before, my body wanted to go to bed at 8:30. Like I've been doing some like body work on myself and stuff. And it was like 8:30, my body was like, okay, it's time for bed. So again, it usually tells me, and if I'm not clear, I'm like, body, you ready to go to bed? It's like, nope. And we end up staying up another hour or something.
so if you were someone who's never like listened to their body before, what would be your advice on how to get started with that? Like, what are they listening for? Like, how would they pick up on the intuition? Like, do you know
Yes.
you know what I'm saying, right? Like,
Yeah, so it's literally starting to ask questions. And like I have some tools on my website where they can literally just go in under body whispering. And I've got some questions there you can start asking. I have a lot of like blog posts with kind of how thoughts, create our reality, and different questions you can start asking. But it really comes from the question, because the beauty of it is, in this reality, and I know I use the term this reality a lot, but in this reality, we're taught to always have the answer. So asking questions are about, it's not even about asking questions, it's about having the answer. But when I say asking questions, what you're doing is you're asking questions which invites the awareness to show up. So for those of us that aren't intuitive like you are, we can start asking questions and then information will come. And the information may come instantaneously. It may come in an hour, a day, a week, a month, like, right? But the more they start asking their body questions, the more information they'll get. And it's the beginning of creating this relationship, and this because part of it is acknowledging your body knows. And when you do get information from it, honoring that that's what's going to work because it knows what's going to work. And then there's this little bit of self-trust that goes into that, because no, you're not crazy. Your body actually can give you information. It's just more energetic than words. So it's this feather touch lightness that you have to learn to listen to. Like you said, when you're in the car, something told you to turn the corner and you ignored it. And that's what happens. That ignoring it is those seconds of unconsciousness that can create years of pain and suffering, or even lifetimes, to where it's this subtle little nuances of energy. As you learn to listen to that, it will create more and more ease. It'll build your confidence. It's just like getting the snowball started, and it'll just grow and grow and get easier.
Right, right. I did notice that for me, that the more I listened to it and responded to it and acknowledged and listened to it, did what it was telling me to do, the more frequently it would occur. And
Yeah.
now a lot of times I don't even like realize that, I'm just making decisions, and I know that that's part of it, and I don't have to sit and analyze it anymore. It's just part of my natural response now.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's so funny because I'll kind of have an ink, whatever like a lot of times when awareness comes in, I'll call it like it popped in my head, or I'll have an inkling, right? Like something's there. And so it's like it's like I know what my body wants for lunch or something as I head to the kitchen, but I still, when I get there, I still ask. And it's like, yeah, of course it does, because that was in my head an hour ago, right? So, but again, and it's just, if somebody's new to it and you start asking questions, the first, you don't want to judge yourself. Like, don't look at it as having to be right or getting it right. It's playing with the questions. It's
Yeah.
the questions become a tool and you play with them, because the last thing you want to do is go into judgment, because judgment and awareness cannot exist in the same universe. So if you're judging yourself about either forgetting to ask or not getting the information, you're cutting off your awareness. So just play with the tools, see what shows up, and have fun with it. And whatever is light is true for you, and whatever is heavy is a lie. So follow the lightness, and that's what you'll be creating.
Absolutely amazing, Julie. Yeah, fantastic. Okay, so I want to thank you for being here, and I will make sure that I put Julie's information in the show notes, her website, so that you can go find those tools when you're ready to start listening to what your body is telling you, and learn how to follow your intuition. So thank you very much for being on the show, Julie.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.